Welcome into the Set It Off Network. I am your host, Michael Setitall. I have my man, Young Willie B, out here. He is live from, I think that we're back in a closet. I don't know if this is the same
I'm
closet.
outside the closet. This is a different closet.
Oh, this is a different closet. So we moved up in the world. We're a little bit outside of the closet now, but we have breaking news today. Will, I don't know if you've seen it. I mean, these are exciting times for the SEC. We get the news that we're going to 9 conference games finally. I know me and you have talked about this off the record that that's something we've always wanted, but it's finally happening. And today we got leaked from our guys at On Three, Chris Lowe, really ruining the SEC Network special for tomorrow night, I think, as we learned what the permanent 3 opponents for each SEC team is going to be for the next 4 years. So, kind of a big deal. Will, I want to know what your immediate reaction. You take a look at all the teams in the SEC getting their 3 opponents, and there's a lot of teams that are missing some key games that I think a lot of fans are going to be kind of upset with.
For sure. Hey, I'm wearing my SEC football shirt, so I'm ready for this conversation. Oh, look at you. All right.
Yeah, man.
So the first thing that jumps out to me, Alabama, they sing Dixieland Delight, and I think in the stadium they go something like beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too.
I don't think
So
it's
those are
beat.
their three big rivals. It's spelled out right there in the song, and they get rid of LSU. No more Alabama LSU every year, at least for the next 4 years. That's a major one that really stands out to me.
Unpopular opinion, Will, Dixieland Delight is a Tennessee song. All right, not sure why Alabama plays it. They made it their thing, but just because it's by Alabama doesn't mean it's about Alabama. It's
They
clearly
are
about
singing about
Tennessee.
Tennessee Saturday night.
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense why Tennessee hadn't adopted that song, but Alabama is just they think because they're God's greatest creation, they can just do whatever they want. But what's a team? All right, we're gonna kind of go through each team. I want to kind of give our listeners a little bit of background to kind of what we're talking about. So we'll start from the top. Alabama's 3 opponents are going to be Auburn, Tennessee, and Mississippi State. Then we have Arkansas, who kind of draws probably the old Southwest Conference, old like Big Eight conference. They get Texas, Missouri, and LSU. You got Auburn, who really got the shaft in this deal. I feel like with having Alabama, Georgia, but they did throw
You
in.
can't break those up.
They did throw in there Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt is not looking like the cakewalk that they normally look like. So, Auburn's got a tough one there. But then we go Florida. We got Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and then we got Kentucky on the Florida schedule. And then for the Georgia,
Tennessee's missing.
yeah, that's a big one. So Georgia Bulldogs, they got Auburn, Florida, South Carolina. Kentucky gets Florida, Tennessee, South Carolina. LSU, like we already mentioned, no more Alabama. You get Arkansas, Ole Miss, and A&M. So
No more Florida either.
yeah, that one was a tougher one, I think, honestly, than the Alabama thing. I think the Florida rivalry has been absolutely tremendous for LSU fans. But Mississippi State gets Ole Miss as obvious. They get Vanderbilt, and then they kind of stuck them with Alabama there. Not ideal for Mississippi State. Kind of, I do want to say one thing, Will, about the way they made these is they did do a good job, I think, of balancing it out. There's not really a team where you're like, wow, they really got the short end of the stick there. Obviously, Auburn is probably that one team, but still, historically, you get stuck with Vanderbilt as your third team. That was like the only way they were probably going to be able to even that one out. But continuing on with Missouri, Missouri gets Arkansas, A&M, Oklahoma. Oklahoma gets Missouri, Ole Miss, and Texas. Ole Miss gets Mississippi State, LSU, and Oklahoma, which I find super odd that Ole Miss and Oklahoma got paired together. But South Carolina gets back to its SEC East roots, and they get Georgia, Florida, and Kentucky.
Good.
Tennessee, like you mentioned, no more Florida, but they still have Alabama, and I think the most beneficial draw, they get Kentucky and Vanderbilt as their other two. Texas.
No Georgia on there either for them.
No Georgia. Texas gets, I think, they get the classic. I think this is the most classic one here with A&M, old Southwest rivalry in Arkansas, and then obviously the Oklahoma game. A&M gets LSU still. They get Missouri, and then obviously the Texas game wasn't going anywhere. And then Vanderbilt finishing it off with Auburn, Tennessee, and Mississippi State. So out of those teams, well, we kind of talked about Auburn and their schedule, but who's a team outside of Auburn where you look at that and you're like, man, they really got shafted on this schedule?
Well, I mean, I look at Texas, having Texas A&M and Oklahoma, that's not easy, but you cannot break those rivalries up. Red River, Texas A&M, we finally got that back. You can't break that up. Just looking through here some more. I mean, like you said, they did a really good job splitting this up, and I respect giving Alabama and Georgia as Auburn's opponents. You can't break those rivalries up either. It's unfortunate, I think, again, that they broke up Alabama LSU because that's become a premier rivalry in the SEC lately.
Yeah, and if you're looking at this thing from the money side of things, right, well, which is box office, TV, like what sells? And that LSU Alabama game, I mean, for over a decade was the premier game in the SEC most years. I mean, we were go back to the CBS days, and that was your primetime night game, majority of the time. So not having that game, but I think with the 9 game conference, you add obviously Texas and Oklahoma. This league is just full of marquee matchups. I mean, you just take a look at this week's slate, and weeks throughout the season. I mean, you can really the rivalries always still be there, and they'll rotate around, and there'll be big news when they get back around. But I don't think it's that big of a deal that everybody is like making it out to be, because you are going to play them twice in 4 years. It's not like you're going to have to go 10 years or whatever it is between time playing. I think the SEC did a tremendous job. Obviously, a lot of thought went into this. And like I said, I'm really impressed with how they divided this up and tried to make it as fair as possible. I think there's nobody on the schedule really besides Auburn that, I mean, and those are just because those are the two oldest rivalries probably in the SEC that you have to keep. But Alabama wasn't going to get Auburn, Tennessee, and LSU. Like they were never going to do that to Alabama. So they had Mississippi State there. LSU gets to keep their thing going with Arkansas and the Golden Boot thing. So I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal that people are making that out to. But one team I want to talk about on this schedule that really got the benefit here is Tennessee. Like, yes, you do got to play Alabama, but man, how lucky are you that you avoid Florida, you avoid Georgia, and you get stuck with Kentucky and Vanderbilt. Now, no offense, Vanderbilt is a great team, and obviously, like what we've seen out of the Commodores this year, they are not like to be looked past by anybody. But Kentucky is historically bottom tier team. Vanderbilt, historically bottom tier team. So it feels like Josh Heupel woke up this morning. His team's playing well. He won out in the Nico situation, and then he gets a call from the Greg Sankey and the boys letting him know that he gets to play Kentucky and Vanderbilt for the next 4 years. So I think he was super excited to hear that news.
Yeah, but again, like you mentioned, they're going to be playing every team in the conference within a 2 year period. And I love that how we're finally going to get to see, we're going to see like every possible matchup within a 2 year period. We're finally going to see Georgia play at Texas A&M, something that hasn't happened even though A&M's been in the conference for 13 years. That's ridiculous, but love to see it. I love this diversity that we're going to see in the schedule coming up. It is unfortunate that we're going to have some big rivalries and some, developing rivalries that we won't see on a yearly basis going forward. I just look at what happened last weekend with South Carolina and Missouri. They have a whole trophy for that game, the Mayor's Cup. That's not going to be happening yearly now, at least the next 4 years. But the trade off is you get South Carolina, Georgia back. That's big. South Carolina, Florida. So, I mean, you can't get all your rivalries, but you get some. And like you said, I like that they have, they're trying to keep it competitively balanced here. And I feel like they've done a pretty good job of that overall.
Yeah, it was a tremendous effort from whoever in that league office did this, because they did, like I said, they did a great job. And people forget, like, this is only for 4 years. Like, they're going to reevaluate this thing in 4 years, and if the tiers of the SEC have changed, and maybe some teams rise and some teams fall, they're going to reevaluate how this thing shakes out. So they'll always kind of keep that competitive balance, and you really needed to keep it even, because in the today's playoff era, if you overload people's schedules, I mean, you're talking about another game that they could possibly lose, keep them out of the playoffs. Like, obviously, the SEC wants as many playoff teams as possible. So dividing the schedules as equally as possible was such a great thing. And then one thing I don't think people know, Will, is the way the schedule works for the next 4 years. It's not a home and road type thing in 2 years. Like, you go play your new six opponents, and then the next year you're going to play a completely new six opponents, and then the following year you're going to rotate to the road or the home, or however, vice versa. So it's not a home and away back to back years. It's going to be split up over a couple years, which I think is awesome too, because it just lets the fans, and you know me, I go to a lot of football games. It gives us the opportunity to see teams that our team doesn't really play that much, get to go experience different stadiums that we don't get to go to. So I thought that SEC did an A+ job at this, and like I said, they are the standard in college football. Like, they are the model for how a conference should be run, and this is just another way of proving that.
Yeah, I like it. You have a major mega conference now, 16 teams, and it's going to feel more like a conference. You're not going to go a decade without playing in somebody's building. You're going to play in every stadium in the conference within a 4 year period. So you could have, if somebody sticks around all 4 years, they'll play in every single stadium. I love that aspect. I love that you play every team in the conference every 2 years. That's fantastic. We think about the SEC though now having 9 conference games, and they're making you play, a 10th game against another Power Four team. These other conferences really need to step it up because the SEC is setting that bar really high going forward. The Big Ten. I mean, sure they got 9 conference games, but it's not SEC. And we saw like what Penn State did, for an example, 3 cupcakes in the non-conference. So I'm just saying they need to step it up in those other conferences now. Bar's been set.
Yeah, the SEC is definitely carrying the torch for, I think, how the model should be. But I think the other conferences eventually will come around once there's more uniformity and like how everything is determined as far as the playoff. I think that'll help a little bit. But thank you guys for watching. That's all we got for you guys. Let me know in the comments what you think about the new SEC. Maybe your favorite team got kind of shafted here. Maybe your team got to play some of the teams that you wanted them to play. So let me know in the comments. Make sure you like this video. And we will see you guys next time.